During some recent investigations, a child claimed to have discovered some ruins near Poisson. Judging by the dating of the ruins, they may be related to the prophecy and the coming crisis. The situation is becoming more urgent. My people initially came to prepare for ruin exploration. Unexpectedly,
So that's why the Fatui...
I wanted to take the children along, but unfortunately, Linny, Lynette, and Fremine have all been... Linny told me that outside of the house, which is why I want to give you this task. The House of the Hearth's members see each other as family, but Linny, Lynette, and Fremine said that they also see you as such. I'm sure you already understand how earnest they consider their friendship with you to be.
Oh, that somehow makes Paimon feel kinda...
The intel I just shared about the ruins could fetch a high price. But since...
Got it! So all we gotta do is go to some ruins, right?
Excuse me, but may I tag along?
You wish to join, Miss Navia?
But are you sure you're up to exploring?
Well, I'm sad, yes. But I can't just go back. There's no point in being depressed while we still have a disaster on our hands. Besides, I'm also doing this for myself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalors, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims.
You mean... they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that, but you found them in some ancient ruins?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky.
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for...
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Furina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convict. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Furina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh, you noticed. See?
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding. Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. We may have to create a situation in which she will have...
Oh?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon
But Furina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions.
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but this may be cruel to her. But all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is... But who will lend us their aid to do...
This is what was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Furina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Don't worry, Furina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another...
Furina, you were crying just...
What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Did they even dare to tout their Archon? Oh, and I'm sure Nouvelle... Of course not!
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Furina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? That's against the rules. I can't let them...
Furina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her!
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to... Do not forget, however, that I am Focalors, the god of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my accept. I will admit that I've been running away. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The Woohoo! Now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on!
All the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. Of course, it is only natural for humans to—
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but—
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Furina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalors, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine—
Yeah, even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric.
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Furina can be—
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh?
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, and if I was not the Archon—
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would—
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to—
A curse. I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally, but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell you.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carried— Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the— One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this—
That doesn't sound right. You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must— You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you—
I never thought you'd use that kind of
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you, instead of having having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned.
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now, it is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce
my power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the...
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with...
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can it...
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? Oh, please. You've got to believe...
If what the prosecutor said is true...
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we... That doesn't sound right. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate...
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution.
Super sorry, Miss... Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood, including those of some of... So, Miss Furina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the... Oh, and I must remind you that after... I do hope you'll act prudently and choose...
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed...
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian.
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of stand...
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon!
Miss Siegewing? If you're present, Miss Siegewing.
Siegewing?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying... She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater.
Thank you, Miss Siegewing. Lady Furina.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, however, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough. We don't want anyone else to lose their life.
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a look. It's a great thing that the director...
I can't believe... you... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't think about it. How can you conclusively also, if I was really just a human? Please, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are...
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court.
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the serious...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definition, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind this...
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, but now the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the High...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
Huh? So what do you see?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, Everything that you've encountered in Fontaine however, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous height. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people were... This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontaine... The third slate shows the Hydro Archon seeking into the... That reminds... Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy of the We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first.
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young, and the first stone slate tells us that this might be the reason that Fontaine... Perhaps what is about to take place, the true sin of the and the original sin cast down. It's not as simple as when Navia fell into the sea. The stone slates show the people gathered around. The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into the fort if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of... The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! But then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. We're not real.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late... The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that could also explain why the Oratries judged the
Hydro Archon's true sin.
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to...
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like what... So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro... In the end, did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slate when we were at the ruins, now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt. I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to... Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontaine. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a... However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon as one of the 7, not one to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the...
So we were all Ocean.
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death?
This really might be too much information for your rate.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, a key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Tri. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was, therefore, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Arc. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what,
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the 4th...
Traveler, I would like to point out about the 4th slate. You probably thought that the However, I believe that rather than being as for the root cause of the catastrophe... This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause.
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be...
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that it has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians at...
Precisely. That whale finds the... Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make...
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank from the way he looked. He must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could...
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can. We've come so far.
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspective, ultimately.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't...
You are not Furina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success.
Focalors. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Good. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my... She knew full well that the prophecy would end as one of the seven. She also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled. I'm a genius, I know. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do. Even after becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit. leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first. The me you see before you now is that divinity. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. Anyway, so that's all part of the plan, of course. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house. I suppose now you probably understand why your corpse.
But Furina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no. I cannot begin to fathom what.
It has indeed. And although she is, it's been 500 years. And all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonized.
You to come onto the stage. Now, I understand your admiration for my august self. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Time to go.
Gather! Let the mighty be humbled!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Furina. Furina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're... mirror me? How...
Mirror you, huh?
Mirror me? What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will...
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember.
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world I will tell you how to save everyone, but...
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side...
I suppose this would also be the justice that
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon.
Play as... a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this
But how will I do this?
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself, being a human yourself. I'm sure you already know what. Remember, your true challenge will not...
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage but I promise you...
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced... What should I say to most appear like a god? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god. As the god Focalors, the god of justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might...
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting? Right. Mirmi said that I just... Calm down, Furina. Think assertive, with a strong sense of presence. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet... Well, it seems that you would all see, right? You may consider my previous act a door gift. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an...
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before. Such a fascinating and bold How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, the scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its... May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let up. There is no trouble in this world that... So long as I, the Archon Focalors, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I...
Lady Furina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for...
Come now, was I not... Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm
if I may be so impertinent.
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial.
That's true, I fear I lack the ability...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties.
Lady Furina, I don't know what to say.
No need to thank me. Or rather... All right. Deuteria is...
He's doing much better now.
Oh, good.
You're such a gem.
Lady Furina, here are the latest hydrological reports.
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine research...
Really? Have they Oh, is that so? Well, no... But it's good to see that everything's getting on. Maybe this is fine. All right.
Lady Furina, here are the new trial reports.
There'll be no need for that.
Lady Furina, I've...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen.
Lady Furina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies.
Understood. Keep monitoring. I just don't know one these days. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Furina, I've heard that the first member of our family who was on...
And what a fine family. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No wonder.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain.
Furina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
Share that's impossible. It was fated right from the—
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me.
A witness. Yeah, and if Tevat is in its entirety he's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected— No, Furina, you shouldn't be But what if— Furina, you've worked so hard first. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity slip through, think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until—
Fine.
So even Furina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. How would you build on this foundation to save the people?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no—
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the— It now seems that that person was you.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes. Alas, your understanding of this device— In truth, it is no enactor of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take— I mean, did you think I would be— My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate but really, some have already discovered that only a small— The vast majority has been— had to be.
It was all a part of your plan then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontaine, but only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy—
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Furina nor Focalors, but for the destruction of that divine throne.
Returning what's rightfully yours to— In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this—
But—
Oh, what? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more.
All you've done throughout the years,
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly prince. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principle stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies. So, if the theft of the primordial seas then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, in other words, existifying the prophecy and at this point, we Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine at last, I now understand the truth. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual. You are a devious one, Focalors. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't been—
It's time to end this. I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our traveler. Now that the oratories can no longer function, I'm at the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but it was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start— Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose I'll have to swing my sword—
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the...
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial water. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And all in all, it fails as—
Miss Skirk?
The point being—
Well, being that this pet, so what sort of person is your master?
Oh, right. So you don't know him. His name is Sertologi.
I am unfamiliar with that.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then?
The foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about...
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhyme Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle.
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names, but I suppose you understand now, yes? My master...
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary?
Actually, never mind that. That the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deeps. As such, the Fontaine back on the surface, in other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over.
What?
Not to worry. Focalors has already managed to deceive the...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a...
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remember. All right, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter taste in...
destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored you, but Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontaine.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontainians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the but so long as those primordial energies remain within them. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontainians became true humans.
Focalors must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict, yeah, and in a manner of speaking.
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown but whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him. As for the judgment passed by the Oratrice, whether it was due to that liability by association, or Focalors deliberately using him to buy
Guess Focalors had Fontainians in mind the whole time. Hang on a second. Paimon said back when Fontainians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontainians...
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in
In truth, even those couples did not know that such those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would
Paimon, sorta...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so as far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from the harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring.
Sounds like a real
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon's still... When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving a... We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting... In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You...
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak of.
Of course. You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a...
Well, that much is true. After Focalors' divinity faded, she handed her... But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Fowl, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to this. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of... Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies...
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my...
This third descender you refer to...
Master never mentioned them to me. If you're interested, though, I could ask him.
Next time. You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the no-sees actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess.
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is what—
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by— I guess that you might already be familiar with this concept, but that means that the no-sees, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental— I wonder.
Like being able to use— No, let's not think about this stuff right. Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking.
Alright, whatever the case—
Yes, all the Focalors—
But she sacrificed herself and—
I suppose that would be the mystery of it. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. And what ultimately